I want to talk to you about a subject that all of America has their feet deep seated into. And you'll find that in Psalms 9:17. And this is what it says. It says, "The wicked go down to the realm of the dead, and all the nations that forget God." Literally says that the nation shall be cursed. The nation and the people and the nation will be cursed, the Bible tells us. And all you do is forget God. The only time I ever was able to obtain the total attention of every sinner in the room filled, it was a room filled with sinners, wanted nothing to do with God, don't want to hear anything about God, don't want to go to church, don't want to hear no singing, don't want to hear about anybody passing away, don't want to hear the kind of people that avoid those things just to get away from the things of God. And the only time I was ever able to grasp their attention just for a minute is when I said these words: the worst sin you will ever commit. And they all stopped, turned around and looked. And I said, is just to forget about God. And they all turned and looked when I said that. And I must have preached for them at least a half hour without any success other than that. And right now this whole country is doing that exact same thing. The leaders of our country aren't acknowledging God. They're busy kicking Him out of our schools. They're busy kicking Him out of our office buildings, taking His name off our national monuments, getting rid of Him out of the city buildings and out of the places of our recreation areas, our parks. Erasing the 10 Commandments. Entwining our laws to say there is no God. There is no God. And this has been going on now for a long, long time. It's been going on for a long, long time. 60, 70, 80 plus years. Since the turn of the last century. Of the last century, 1900, 1901. Since that turn. And the effects of it we are seeing dearly. We're seeing taking a hold right now. There's places in this land. Look at our rivers. Look at our rivers. They're hideous. They're polluted. I heard people talking at work. No matter where you go in this country, you cannot find clean water anymore. I don't care how far down you dig. You can't find clean water. The wicked go down to the realm of the dead, and all the nations that forget God. Literally says they be turned into destruction. Let me see if I can find that verse for you. Now, okay, now I'm seeing a lot of different verses. Okay. But I wanted to bring up the one where it says that will actually be turned into destruction. And I'm not seeing it here. Okay, but we'll have to look that one up later. But it's in there, okay? Believe me, if I remember the verse, it's in there. I don't know where all of them are, but I know they're there, okay? And I can look them up. But this one here I want to talk to you about is Genesis 19:1, because now here's a land written in history that had forgotten about God. Okay? Genesis 19. We're going to read about a place called Sodom and Gomorrah. And we're going to read about it in the King James Bible. And these people, they had forgotten about God. Now, one of the character traits, now you can go back into history as far as you want to go, and you'll see this same character trait of nations that are falling will happen over and over again. And one of the things that take place is that multiple sex trends begin to happen, and the idea of what God created sex for loses preference, and men and women do whatever that tickles their fanny, so to speak. And when judgment finally falls on them, God is a thing to be hated. God is a thing to be hated. And because He stands for something moral. And He stands for self-control. And what a country does is they lose self-control. Right now, that's what our government is doing. They're saying that freedom is the absence of self-control. Christians continue saying freedom isn't free. But with this character trait, it always turns into this, that people always want to do whatever they feel like doing. And that, my friend, is the best way to bring bondage in your life. It's like an alcoholic drinking without any self-control, without having he's got a mountain of booze in front of him. He has no reason to stop. And the end thereof is death. The end thereof is death. And Sodom and Gomorrah had gotten to the place where the United States is heading to. And the Bible says, and there came two angels. Now listen. The book of Revelations tells us that angels are going to bring the judgment on the world. This whole world is getting hideous. It's not just the U.S., but the whole world. Surely God is getting ready to do exactly what He did in Sodom and Gomorrah. And Lot sat at the gate of Sodom. And Lot, seeing them, arose up to meet them, and he bowed himself with his face toward the ground and said, Behold now, my lords. See, Lot still had enough of God in him to recognize godly men when he saw them. And he asked him, Turn in, I pray you, unto your servant's house, and tarry all night, wash your feet, and ye shall rise up early and go your way. And they said, Nay, but we shall abide in the street all night. And Lot didn't recognize them as angels, I don't think. And he pressed upon them greatly. And they turned unto him and entered into his house. And he made them a feast, and did bake unleavened bread, and they did eat. But before they laid down, the men of the city, even the men of Sodom, compassed the house round, both young and old, and all the people from every quarter. People from all, they heard about this, you know, something new, something they wanted to sink their flesh. Listen, you don't have to be an enemy in order for the wolf to attack the lamb. You just have to look like that you're something easy to take advantage of. And this is the way society gets in a corrupt society like this. And yeah, in many places in the United States, already like this. Been that way for years. And they called unto Lot. They said to him, Where are the men which came to your house this night? Bring them out unto us, that we may know them. I wasn't talking about sitting down talking either. Talking about biblically knowing. And Lot went out the door unto them, and shut the door after him, and he said, Brethren, do not so wickedly. Behold, now I have 2 daughters which have not known men. Let me, I pray you, bring them out, and do to them as good in your eyes. Also only unto these men do nothing, for therefore came they under the shadow of my roof. And one of the fellows came to soldier, and again they said to Lot, this one fellow came to sojourn, and he will needs be a judge. Now we will deal worse with thee than with them. And they pressed sore upon the men, even Lot, and came near to break the door. But the men put forth their hand, and pulled Lot into the house unto them, and shut the door. And they smote the men that were at the door of the house with blindness, both small and great, so they wearied to find themselves to find the door. Now this is only just the beginning, when judgment begins to take place. This is only the beginning. This is exactly where the United States is right now. We're living in a polluted land. You just need to look around you. You go to Ethiopia and look at the place over there, Sudan, how those countries are so poor and broken down. And nations that forget God, those are pagan nations. Those are pagan nations. Every pagan nation on the face of this planet is not poor. It takes time for it to get there. But the United States is well on its way. We look like we are well fed. We look like we are rich. We look like we are the most prosperous country in the world. We look like we are blessed. We look like we have respect of others. We look like we have fine fancy cars and a good means and a great future. But it's just looks. It's only looking. You get in here, you start looking around, feeling it out, and you can tell this place is swiftly coming to an end. That our blessing is swiftly coming to an end, and is because of politicians like Hillary Clinton, Barack Obama, and George Bush. It's because of politicians like that that only have in mind power-hungry control. Feed the machine. Stay in control. And don't think anything about God. The liberal ways of erasing God out of our society. They feel that in order to have a free society, God has to be erased out of it. That is not true. That is the farthest from the truth ever was. And when destruction comes, just like Sodom and Gomorrah, it's going to happen suddenly. It'll happen suddenly.